Good day everyone and welcome back to Clean Cut EDC. Today we are taking a look at the Ontario Cam Plus. Yes, there's been a lot of commotion around this knife, especially its price. And I don't think it's a great knife. For the price, I think it's a great knife, right? I think, yeah, there's a lot to look at here, and this knife does offer you a fantastic backup knife option. I think, in my opinion, this might be one of the best backup knives that you can have on a daily basis. I don't know if I would say in an outdoor situation, but on a daily basis, this is basically perfect. Yeah, but there's a variety of reasons why I say that. So we'll discuss all of that right here because today we are doing a full review on the Ontario Cam Plus. There are many colors that this comes in. It is this one is forest green. You also get a white one, and then also a midnight gray one, which is more blue than gray. And the white one actually offers you fantastic options with regards to dyeing your knife, right? Because if you don't like the green, you don't like the blue, then the white one is going to be for you. Because you can dye it red, you can dye it a light blue, you can dye it yellow, or whatever crap brown, whatever color you want it to be, you can dye it that. So that's great. It is quite a large knife, but if you look at the weight, you won't really say that. Now, obviously, we have a lanyard on it, and it did come with a lanyard. By the way, I got this from mjbarnett. The details will be in the description, but I think you can buy these also from Swartboard EDC. The price on this in America is $10, right? I think it might have gone up a little bit, but it was $10, the launch price. South Africa, because it needs to be imported, and everything, it's going to be a little bit more. It's going to be 280 Rand or just over 300 Rand. If you buy from Swartboard EDC, it's going to be over 300 Rand. I know that. But yeah, it's very difficult to actually find these in South Africa. But anyway, let's continue on with the review. Let's take a look at just the weight. I hope this guy is working today. There we go. Come on. There we go. Come on. Okay, so take a look at this, right? 75 grams. Now that's what you want. That's especially what you want with regards to your backup knife, right? This thing is gonna disappear in the pocket. You won't feel this knife at all, right? And it does, because I've been keeping it in my jacket pocket for a long time now. Not because I put it in there every day, but because, it's just, I forget it in there. And I think this thing has been through the washing and everything. And yeah, the clip works great. So it's just, you forget about it completely because you don't feel it at all. It's so light, but still solid. And that's great. That's what you want. So let's compare it to some other knives. In size, we have the Rake P801SF. And you can see the Rake is, let's do it like this. Why am I always doing it skew? There we go. Rake is a little bit on the longer side, maybe a centimeter. We have the CRKT Pezoda, which is going to be a little bit shorter. Yes, quite a lot. Let's try the Penguin. QSP Penguin. So you can see it's a bit longer than the Penguin, maybe even correctly, maybe even a centimeter. The Ontario Cam Plus is about a centimeter longer than the QSP Penguin. And to be honest with you guys, that is probably a better size for me than the Penguin. The Penguin can be a little bit snug. You guys can see I'm just on the edge there, just missing it a little bit. But with this guy, I have that little bit of space to tuck into. That's great, man. Yo, can also choke up on this knife. Blade steel, obviously for the price, not going to be a super steel, but 420 HC, which is the same as the steel on a Leatherman. And if the heat treat is done right, Buck, they basically have the best 420 HC steel. It's like, it can stand up against some tough steels out there because their heat treat is done right. And if the heat treat is done right, as with most Leathermans also, it's going to do the job just fine, especially as a backup knife. And that's the lenses through which I'm looking at this knife at. So yeah, not the primary, but a backup knife. Blade stock thickness, very thin, Very slicey knife, perfect for biltong cutting, and I've used it many times cutting the biltong. And it works great because you can lack a choke up on this guy. Ooh, it just works fantastically well. Okay, about 2 millimeters, a little bit, maybe 2.5 millimeters on the blade stock thickness. Then we have a hollow grind. We have a clip point style blade, so very nice for, you know, cleaning your fingernails or whatever you want to use that little fine tip for. Not going to be a very strong tip, right? Which is one reason why I would say not to carry this as your primary, because you will on harder tasks you will break off that tip. This thing is extraordinarily slicey, a great cutter, right? Very, very nice. It runs on washers. I think it's phosphor bronze washers, yes. And the locking mechanism is a back lock, which works great. You can definitely deploy and close this knife one-handed. So if you're in a situation where you only have one hand free, then this is going to be a great knife for you still. Even with the lockback, you know, still going to work great. Oh, I just love this sound. That clicking in place. Oh, it's just great. And being a lockback, obviously fantastic lock up. A lockback is stronger than a liner lock. In most cases, also depends on the bolt quality, but in most cases your lockback will be a little bit stronger than your liner locks, and even your frame locks, right? In some cases, so it differs a little bit, but generally speaking, it's a very strong locking mechanism. This blade will break long before the lock the lock breaks, right? We have FRN scales. And this is magnificent scales. The Ergos on this guy is really something to brag about for Ontario. The way you can choke up on this is fantastic. There's no jumping, unfortunately, but you get a very good choked up grip on this guy. But even if you're just using it normally, the way this cutout is done, it's done very well. I'm very impressed with this knife. I mean, there's features here that, yes, that you just can't find on a knife of this price or even twice, 3 times its price. The way your hand just fits in here, it's just fantastic. Just absolutely fantastic, man. Yeah. So good. A reversible pocket clip, wire pocket clip, deep carry pocket clip. And that is great. The pocket clip is sunken into the scales. I mean, this is ridiculous, actually. T8, let me just make sure. Yeah, so it is definitely a T8 pivot and T6 body screws, and that's just fine. I mean, a lot of people moan about T6 body screws on the scales and T8 pivots, it should be T10, but I mean, yeah, that's really nitpicking on knives at this stage, because they just get better and better. T6 has been doing the job for years, T8s have been doing the job for years, and they will continue to do the job, because we are definitely not using our knives for more intense purposes than we used to. Yeah, so there we go. Fantastic in the area of how user-friendly it is. You can definitely manipulate this with your left hand. So I would maybe recommend this to a lefty over a liner lock, because sometimes liner locks can be difficult to access. But yeah, this works very well for a left-handed person because of this hollow grind. You don't need a slit on this side. So yeah, I want to buy a Hadida today. Yes, I am going to do that. Good liners. Liners are sunken. And it's a good construction in there. Is that that's just a spacer. Yeah, obviously because it's a backlock, right? This is a metallic back spacer, which is pretty cool. And obviously then also, as I mentioned, reversible pocket clip. Very nice pocket clip. Goes in and out of the pocket so nicely. It's very stiff. It won't fall out at all. But it's not too hard to actually take it over the clothing. So we'll go over the clothing. Texturing on the FRN, phenomenal work. Very well. Very grippy. Just done right. No hot spots. It's just fantastic. Well rounded here on the scales. Rounded off. Fit and finish is basically perfect. Can't be better. It's just fantastic. Yeah, definitely recommend this knife. I think for camping purposes, which is what it is, branded for, not quite. in my opinion. I think it's the stock thickness is a little bit thin for most of the tasks you would use it for at the campsite. But if you're going to braai, barbecue, this thing goes through meat like a dream. It's fantastic. Cutting open packages, rope, that sort of thing, yeah, it will work great. But yeah, some of your more heavy duty camping tasks and stuff, you know, it's maybe going to struggle a little bit. Also, just consider it's not D2. This is a Viper, and I usually, you know, you need to consider what steel you're using, right? I won't be using this knife and this knife the same way, just because there's a little bit more on the stock thickness. It's D2 blade steel, which is a lot stronger than 420 HC. So just know what you're working with. But for a starter knife also, sub 500 Rand, this is going to be the one that I would recommend to anyone out there looking to get into the EDC life and yeah, they just want a knife, you know, they're not necessarily very serious about knives or anything like that, but they want a good quality, you know, knife that's going to last them a long time, not necessarily a fidgety person, just they want a good knife that they can use for a long time. This is going to be a great option for that. And that's something that can be, you know, irritating when you're just starting out carrying around a knife is the weight, right? When I just started carrying knives, the very smallest of knives actually not annoyed me, but I was aware of it constantly. Now I have like 4 knives on me and I just, you know, forget about them because you get used to that sort of life. So yeah, definitely a fantastic starter knife. Let's quickly look at some dimensions just with regards to this knife. Okay, we have 19 centimeters on the knife, 8 centimeter blade, 11 centimeters on the handle. We have a width on the scales of 2.2 in the thickest spot, 1.8 in the thinnest spot. The width on the blade in the largest area is going to be 2.2, sorry, just looking there. And handle thickness, 1 centimeter, which is also fantastic. Sits so nicely in hand. Usually I enjoy a knife with a little bit more of a thickness to the handles, just fills my hand a little bit better. And yeah, but this is just great. It's okay. It's I like how light it is, and I would make the trade up for that, you know. So yeah, fantastic backup knife. Definitely take a look at this guy. If you don't have the Camp Plus, I think you really should get yourself Ontario Camp Plus. It's fantastic. Okay, guys, have a knife day, and remember that no knife means no life.